Okay. Trimmed mean and outliers, because it has everything to do with outliers. That's the reason why you would want to perform a trimmed mean. And so let me just get mine in line with yours. And here it is. So an outlier is a data point that is significantly different from the general trend. You need to know that. Okay, an outlier can have a considerable effect, right? Outliers have an effect on the arithmetic mean. That's the one we know, right? Common average, that's what that is. Okay. To account for this, a trimmed mean may be more representative of the measure of central tendency. Okay. Trimmed mean may be more representative of the measure of central tendency. When there are outliers, or there is an outlier or outliers, a trimmed mean is found by omitting an equal number of values from the upper and lower ends. Okay. Examples where the trimmed mean is more representative would be the Olympics, to prevent one particular judge from significantly affecting the overall score. Remove bias, right? We can also say that. Remove any bias. Okay. Production levels of a company, low productions may be due to a major breakdown of equipment. This is not normal, right? So you have a breakdown. It's out of the ordinary, right? It's not something we usually expect. So you would want to exclude those values from the average. A student that bombed that test, right, might want to say, hey, I would like the trimmed mean instead of, I think that's more representative of what I actually know, right? Sometimes students go on long trips, right? And that's something that you might want to consider, right? A data set contains the following values. So you've got these values. What's the arithmetic mean? So the arithmetic mean is just your regular average. So I will actually show that here. Please do that as well. Do we need to arrange? Nope. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 2, 4, 6, 7. Okay. I do that quite often to make sure I don't miss a number. Right? When you add these all up, let me just move it down a bit. When you add that all up, you get 55 divided by 7, which ends up being 7.86 units. We don't have any, so just write units next to it. Identify the outliers. Identify the outliers, then calculate the trimmed mean. Okay. The outlier, which one would it be in this case? 3, 9, 5. Can I arrange it just to make the point? I'm going to arrange this data set. So 3, 4, 3, 4, 5, 6, 8, and 20. Oh yeah, and the 9. Let's not forget about 9. There we go. And when you arrange it, you can see that jump, right? It's like these are actually pretty close together, but then you see a jump. So this is your outlier right here, 20 units. Please make sure you identify the outlier. In this case, there is only one. Okay. The trimmed mean would be like this. I'm going to grab another different color. I want to get rid of that outlier. Therefore, I must take out the lowest value. Okay, I must take out the lowest value. So this is, are you paying attention? This is what I'm going to do here, because later on this is going to save you time. I'm going to take the 55 that I had before, right? When I added all of them up, I had 55, right? I'm going to take out 20 and take out the 3. Okay. Over, would it make sense if I went 7 minus 1 minus 1? Because I'm taking out this value and I'm taking out this value. I'm left with 32 over 5. It's just a different way of thinking about it. If you just wanted to add up what's left over, that's fine. Just make sure you know it's 5 at the bottom. So this is going to be 6.4 units. So you might say, well, it dropped. Does it make sense that my number dropped? And here I would like to say, look at what you removed. The outlier was the higher one, right? So it's almost like somebody pulling, like somebody really strong is pulling towards the higher numbers, and all of a sudden you're removing that person. It's gonna take the average down, right? So because of the high upper outlier, the average went down. So I will put that in your notes here. Note, removing the upper outlier decreases the mean. It's still an average, guys. It's just called the trimmed average, the trimmed mean, because you do not consider the outlier. Okay. So let's say this is kind of like keeping track of the time it takes for you to come to school in minutes. All of a sudden you have one day where it's like 20 minutes, like something happened, right? You bumped into a buddy or friend, or right, and you started talking, you got sidetracked, right? Whatever. All right, explain the difference between the arithmetic mean and the trimmed mean. This is very important, okay? The difference. We're gonna go arithmetic mean includes all values, including outliers. Okay? Trimmed mean removes outliers by trimming the highest and lowest values. This one is often more accurate, more representative. I will say this, often more accurate, okay? Because we usually will apply that to situations where you would want to remove the outlier. When we looked at the test scores earlier, right, by removing the outlier, our mark went up by a little bit, right? So it will depend on the situation. Question before I move on. How many outliers did we have up here? We only had one. Because students sometimes when they cancel, because they're told over and over you got to cancel on either end, right? So the 3 and 20 are the outliers, and the answer is no. It could have been, but in this case there's only one outlier, but we need to cancel both if you want to do the trimmed mean. Okay, let's do another example. Ready? 123 here, real quick. Calculate the arithmetic mean, identify any outliers if they exist, then calculate the trimmed mean. So this is not arranged, is it? So I will actually arrange it. Let's arrange it real quick. Can you do that? I want you to arrange it because I have it here and it's kind of pointless if I do it. I'll just work quietly while you're doing that. So if I add it all up, we want to kind of make a distinction between the regular mean, and so I use AM for arithmetic mean. So that gives you 218.5 units. And that's quite often going to be, I'm going to ask you to compare the two. Identify any outliers if they exist, and then calculate the trimmed mean. Do we have outliers? We do, right? How many? 2, right? Like if you look at, these are all close together, fairly close together. We go up, 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 but then you have a big jump here. So actually, this one and this one, those would be your outliers, okay? Outliers, so you just tell me here, outliers, 476 and 524 units. So that could be minutes, grams, dollars, you name it. So you've got that. Now, then I'm going to calculate the trimmed mean, and here's where you're going to thank me for the method I just gave you earlier. When we added up every single value earlier, we had this, right? We want to get rid of 476 and we want to get rid of 524. But you also, right, you got to be careful to get rid of these two. I kind of look at it as a 1-to-1 ratio. If you want to get rid of 524, you better remove the very lowest, right? So you trim. If you want to get rid of the next outlier, you need to trim the second lowest. Right? So you're left with 6 in a sense, right? So I'm going to take away the 125 and I'm going to take away the 129. And you're left with 6 values. I'm going to go here, trim to mean is going to be 931 divided by 6. What do you think the average is what's going to happen to the average when we trim? Is it going to go up or down? Down, right? Because you're removing heavy numbers. So it's going to go down to the lower end, right? So that is 155, a significant drop, right? And it makes sense that it dropped. Removed 4 values. Okay, we're going to do some with negatives. I'm going to ask you this. Go ahead. I'm going to ask you to arrange these values for the temperatures of the week from lowest to highest. And then I want you to answer A to D. But we're not done there. I'm also going to ask you to do page 124. Okay. So questions 2 to 4, I believe. Yeah. Questions 2 to 4, and I ask you some questions at the back that make sure you understand, you show understanding of the concept. Okay. Go ahead and do that. You will get an AC on this tomorrow. If you're stuck,